Welcome to a special Black History Month edition of Fox 54 News. I'm Keneisha Deas.
And I'm Mo Carter. Tonight we're celebrating Black locals through each of their impactful stories.
We're savoring the joy through pain and sharing their part in history.
Let's be truthful, we did not get treated the best in history when it came to mental illness.
Tonight, you'll meet stewards of our community focused on mental health. We'll share how they are working to heal others and end the stigma.
To see my 80-year-old grandfather say yes, sir, to somebody that was younger than him because of the color of their skin, and I didn't understand that.
Plus a story of triumph, courage, and most of all, leadership. I sat down with this Alabama A&M icon to learn how his family navigated the civil rights era.
We also get a chance to step where legends once stood. A Huntsville experience lets you stroll through the past of Black trailblazers. We'll show you how you can take a walk through time.
We're talking about I'm the first African-American female to sit on the council.
From the past to right now, a new Huntsville City Council member is building her story. She's a Rocket City native, recently elected as the first Black woman to sit on the council. We're getting to know Michelle Watkins tonight. And that is just a snapshot of what we've got in store. We're showcasing more over the next half hour.
That's right. This special Black History Month edition of Fox 54 News begins right now. Thank you for joining us. Mo, when you think of Black history, what comes to mind for you?
I mean, clearly I think about the legacies that have been made, and you think about the pathways that individuals way back in the day have provided for individuals like you and I to be here to talk about those legacies of years past. That's
exactly right. And you know, through that, we have learned to savor joy through pain, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is also part of the experience and part of our history. Got to meet with stewards of our community who are focused on owning joy through mental health and healing. Take a look at how they're making an impact. Take a walk into this space.
Follow me into this first immersive room.
And you'll find
the curated gallery. We transform peculiar spaces into fine art galleries.
The basement of the old Huntsville Times transformed into a space to savor.
Savor is a mental health coping practice that we want individuals to be able to leave this space and actually utilize in their day-to-day life.
17 featured artists from North Carolina to Cameroon, Africa, have their work on display for the entire month of February. 4 rooms with 4 types of savoring, Thanksgiving, luxuriating, basking, and marveling. Coordinator Jordan Fudge says this exhibit highlights Black joy and resilience, an immersive experience.
An experience where they're able to really soak and be present and enjoy, and really just what the word says, savor.
The gallery partnered with 57 Northampton, a nonprofit organization that offers mental health therapy and coping strategies. Executive Director Jana Peterson says now was the time to do this.
So we actually wanted to kind of challenge what people are seeing right now and give them an opportunity to say, no, not only do you need joy, but it's important. It's important to have joy in moments like this.
Here's a different type of space.
We want to bring back that same message to Huntsville, Alabama.
Making room for beautiful scars.
People are suffering from mental illness and addictive disease, and the whole families are affected.
Beautiful Scars, Inc. is a mobile nonprofit providing support for people suffering from mental illness. Co-founder Dr. Brian Anderson, raised in Huntsville, overcame addiction and abuse. He's on a mission, he says, to help other people heal.
So it is up to me. I made a commitment when I was in a lockdown inpatient treatment that I'm going to spend the rest of my life giving back this word of hope and inspiration.
Anderson says this method works with peer-to-peer relationships.
You hear the story of someone who has gone through and they've used the doctor. That's the stigma is breaking down. Wait a minute, you're standing before a group of people and you're telling your story and you use the doctor? Because once again, there is a stigma attached in our African-American community.
Outreach, a key component to also helping people heal. That's why Beautiful Scars has partnered with Grateful Recovery, a counseling services specialist.
Our relationship with Beautiful Scars is an outreach opportunity to reach out to anybody who wants to receive that help. So we're reaching out together, and the more people who reach, the longer your reach becomes.
Spaces to heal and spaces to overcome. A chapter also included in Black history.
And you think of Black history, a lot of that had to deal with mental health, like how people were oppressed and just the struggles throughout, the last century through that. So a lot of the art that we curated either focuses on mental health or highlights a moment within Black history.
Ultimately, Black history is our history. It's everyone's history.
Yes, it is. Savor is the curated gallery's 7th exhibition, and Beautiful Scars Inc. co-founder Brian Anderson is in Atlanta now, but he's looking to do more work in Huntsville. You know, Mo, this is a very important topic. I'll say from a personal standpoint, I myself sought therapy, and it helped me in my journey to healing.
And you think about this all over the history of African Americans, especially here in the United States, from the Middle Passage. Those stories have translated so much through the years to where even when I was speaking to older members of my family and community when I was younger, sometimes it was hard for them to talk about that because they were mentally scarred from dealing with racism or dealing with Jim Crow or separate but equal situations. So it's never an easy thing to always talk about, even though it is part of the history that lines up to what we have today.
Absolutely right. Thank you, Mo.
No problem. Huntsville builders. Who do you think of? The historic Huntsville Foundation says many of them were Black workers and entrepreneurs who found freedom after the end of the Civil War. But their history defined the Reconstruction era, and their development put Huntsville on the map in the post-war South. A new interactive tour, The Cornerstones of Freedom Trail, is showcasing their contributions and memorializing this often overlooked history.
We see Huntsville as it exists today, and so what we wanted our walking tour to do was to introduce you to a community in Huntsville, a Black community who contributed mightily to the history of Huntsville, and we think our walking tour is a good start for that.
The tour aims to highlight Huntsville's diverse history with more than 400 visitors so far. Councilmember Michelle Watkins says it's important that we stress the importance of remembering Black history accurately for future generations.
Yeah, Rosie International Services took up the entire new room over at Trinity United Methodist Church this month, and guests from as far as UAB came to celebrate local Black talent.
There was a saxophonist, there were poets, and Mae Jemison High School even had a group to cover for the Temptations. It all comes amid a federal push to limit DEI programs, events like this one and other related venues.
However, this nonprofit is working to find ways around all of that. The nonprofit hosts events like this for every multicultural month you can think of. But waves of legislation and executive orders have sidelined DEI-related events and cut its funding at the federal level. Rosie's Vice President Charlie Douglas shared how it will impact their organization.
We don't know how the end is going to be, but we know that we're going to get through this, and a lot of the things, the cuts, it's hurting. We know we can see that it's hurting, but that means that the parents, the teachers, the community going to have to get together and work even harder, because some of our kids they have a difficult time as it is.
Yes, and I had the distinct honor of being able to MC that event. It made it the 3rd year for me, and it's always a joy to support the community in that way.
Absolutely. And first of all, congratulations to you for them to see that you were doing such a great job to bring you back again and again and again with that. But clearly, as things move forward, individuals in this community, especially the African American community, I feel that we just have to encourage each other and also understand the knowledge that is being obtained in events like this as you provide footsteps for the future.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mo. Let's see what's coming up ahead.
My grandparents, they were involved in the civil rights movement. Dr. King came through at that time, along with my uncle, Andrew Mosley Jr.
Before becoming a key figure at Alabama A&M, Coach Van Pettaway was introduced to some iconic figures during the civil rights movement thanks to his grandparents. I chatted with him about his memories from Selma, Alabama.
Yeah, Mo, and legends come and go, and North Alabama certainly lost many this year. We're paying tribute to them tonight. We're sharing their stories later on in the show.
And we're back with our Black History Month program here on FOX54. And joining me now is an individual that needs no introduction. It's Coach Van Pettaway. We know all about his athletic accolades at Alabama A&M, both as a player and then later on as a great coach. And of course, you guys know about our broadcast history as well. But hey, Coach, clearly, you've been known to be a great leader. But at the same time, come to talk to you, and then we find out that your leadership roles kind of was learned from some elder statesmen in your family, including some who may have had some brushes with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah, that's correct, Mo. I'm from Selma, Alabama, and my grandparents, they were involved in the civil rights movement. Dr. King came through at that time, along with my uncle, Andrew Mosley Jr. So they had an opportunity to meet Dr. King, and my grandmother told me once that he even ate dinner at their house. During that time, you got to remember now, Selma was also known for the melting pot for up-and-coming ministers, and so Dr. King used to come through a lot. It wasn't always about the movement when he came through. He would come through to be guest speakers at different churches in Selma. Coming across Dr. King back in those days was, that was common until, they started the movement. And then, of course, when the movement started, we weren't in Selma. We were in Indiana. And so a lot of that stuff we missed, like Bloody Sunday. We weren't there for that. Mm-hmm. But what I did remember about Bloody Sunday, it prevented us from coming to visit my grandparents for the summer. Every summer we make that trek from Indiana to Alabama to live with both sets of grandparents for the entire summer.
Coming through all that and just hearing these stories, are you kind of amazed at how much actually went on back then, especially in an area that was so close to your family?
Right, yeah, I was. I mean, when you read, a lot of times I didn't have to read the history books. I had my grandparents that could relay stories to us. And as a little child growing up, we were always memorable kids, yes sir, no sir. To see my 80-year-old grandfather say yes sir to somebody that was younger than him because of the color of their skin, and I didn't understand that. Back then they had thicker skin, Mo. They had thicker skin. They would not allow slurs and things like that to get to them. Nowadays, you can't do that. If there's a racial slur, a lot of times people are ready to act on it. And that's just not how they started the movement, and that's not. Dr. King wanted everything was all about nonviolence, and I think for the most part, it worked. It worked, and that's why we're able to sit here now as two black men and talk about it and the things that we do during Black History Month. But to me, it's not a Black History Month. It's Black History every day, every year. That's the way I see it.
All right, everyone, we've been chatting with Coach Van Pettaway as he talks about his memories from back in the day with the Civil Rights Movement. We'll have more with our Black History Month special coming up right here on Fox 54.
Legends come and go, and North Alabama certainly lost many this past year, and we're paying tribute to them tonight.
That's right, Keneisha. From local black city leaders to legends on the football field, a few North Alabama families are without their loved ones during Black History Month. Last summer, the Huntsville community mourned the loss of Pastor Dr. Julius Scruggs. Reverend Scruggs was pastor emeritus at the First Missionary Baptist Church here in Huntsville, and at one time was the president of the National Baptist Convention. He was in ministry for over a half century and departed this world at the rightful age of 82.
The Madison County Commission plans to give a dedicated community leader her flowers, the late Beulah Ann Ballard Toney. The commission made a resolution proclaiming April 5th as the day honoring her life and legacy. Those that you saw pictured there were her daughters. Beulah died last December. She was the first black woman in Madison County to be on the Board of Registrars and has a foundation providing scholarships to students. Another North Alabama native lost this year was three-time Emmy Award-winning journalist Chauncey Glover, a Los Angeles news anchor and Athens native. Glover graduated from East Limestone High School and was a big advocate for keeping your village and community close. In 2023, Glover was honored by the Athens Limestone Community Association for Black History Month. Glover was 39 years old.
And most recently, the Alabama A&M athletic family mourning the death of Henri Jackson, the former Alabama A&M All-conference quarterback led the Bulldogs to an undefeated regular season in 1966 and helped coach Louis Cruz capture the SIAC football championship. The following spring, Jackson was selected by the Boston Patriots of the then AFL, became the first black quarterback from a predominantly black university to be drafted as a quarterback by a professional football league. He was laid to rest on Friday, February the 21st. And one more mention, a tragic loss of another Alabama A&M football player happening this year. Magic Burnett Jr. passed away in November. The redshirt freshman received a head injury while playing in last year's Magic City Classic. Burnett Jr. appeared in 7 games for Alabama A&M this past season, recording 3 tackles during a game against Austin Peay.
There's someone making big moves in the Rocket City. As the first black female city council member in Huntsville, Michelle Watkins has represented District 1 her whole life, Mo.
Now she sits in the chair, which represents her entire community. Gabe Glassman sitting down with her, discussing the changes she wants to see before her work is done.
Huntsville District 1 City Council member Michelle Watkins says it's important for her to represent her community, a community where some of her earliest memories are also from.
I grew up here in Huntsville, graduated from the greatest high school in all of America, Johnson High.
J.O. Johnson High School is now known as Mae Jemison High and Rollo McNair Junior High. Johnson was the first racially integrated high school for the Rocket City.
Going to that school and it being diverse opened up my eyes to a world of different things. I think it's important to have diversity because when you go to work with people, you need to understand different cultures, races, and backgrounds.
Watkins also graduated from Alabama A&M University. She and her family have stayed true to North Huntsville.
My family lives here, I work here. I lived in the same community I grew up in, and it's just been, it's been great.
And after a lifetime of memories, Watkins now sits in a prominent position for her city.
Here we are in 2025, and we're talking about I'm the first African-American female to sit on the council.
Her hope is for more growth for the whole city and for her part of town.
I want to see more growth in North Huntsville. My focus is primarily going to be on economic development in District 1, curb appeal, attracting people. One of the things I said when I ran was I could have moved out of the community several years ago, but I believed in the community, so I stayed even when everyone else left and people were like, why are you still living in District 1? And now I want District 1 to be the place where I tell people come back home.
And Michelle is hoping to achieve her goals with her community in mind.
The greatest feeling is getting to represent your community.
From North Huntsville, Gabe Glassman, FOX54 News.
An extended version of our interview with Councilmember Michelle Watkins can be found on fox54.com.
Black-owned businesses face a number of challenges, including gaining the proper exposure to reach a bigger audience.
But one black creator has an innovative way of getting the word out that can fit in the palm of your hands. Our Kim McCoy has more how the author is making sure owners are seen in a positive light.
For one author, the idea to create a space for local black businesses to be seen and heard came at a time where many in the community felt the most neglected.
Huntsville black-owned businesses came to be in the middle of the pandemic, and during that time there was a lot of unrest. So we wanted to create a community for black-owned businesses to come together and support each other.
Kadeek Mighty Nugent says for Black History Month, the organization wanted to celebrate these enterprises and the impact they've had on our economy, culture, and society by addressing the challenge of advertisement with a digital flipbook.
Typically, people are trying to find ways to find black-owned businesses, and we have the directory, but we really wanted to focus attention on those black businesses that have BHM sales or they have an event that's coming up during Black History Month. So we said instead of printing out an actual magazine, a flipbook would be easier to get out there in the community.
As you flip through the pages, you'll meet people like Dr. Latoya Solomon with Your Best Health, who's redefining what it means to be a successful entrepreneur. Dr. Solomon's story is one of determination, community building, and passion.
So I started in Decatur for 8 years, and then I realized it was such a need here in my community of Madison to open my own practice here. And so I opened the practice here in April of 2024, along with my husband, Maurice Solomon. The community has been exceptionally receptive to us. We're at about 1,200 patients now.
But those years of experience have been met with some challenges. Black businesses often have to fight misconceptions.
Just having to, elicit everyone else's buy-in to realize that we are here, we are professional, we do want to help the community. And so it's a little bit of a challenge, but I like challenges, so it works for me.
And Dr. Solomon says facing those challenges head-on is having a positive effect on the next generation.
I'm also a college professor, and so I would tell you there's a lot of students that I have that are graduating with that mindset because they've seen their mom do it or their grandmother do it or aunts or friends. And so back in the day, when I was coming up, I didn't know anyone that was an entrepreneur.
Nugent is hopeful that this book will help debunk any stereotypes about Black-owned businesses.
I would like to debunk the thought that we are not professional. Like you just spoke to Toya, and she is so professional, and her business is doing absolutely well because she conveys that professionalism in what she does. So I think that is one that really needs to debunk. We are professional in what we do, and we are good at what we do.
For a link to the digital flip book, visit our website at fox54.com. In Huntsville, Ken McCoy, Fox 54 News.
Pretty cool. The book features everything from Black-owned restaurants to local events. Huntsville's historically Black university is turning the big 150 this year. The school was founded in 1875 and has been making waves ever since. We're talking about the campus of Alabama A&M University. The home of the marching maroon and white is beginning a new campaign on the Hill to celebrate with a goal to secure $150 million in total investments. The school shared that no matter your story, there is a role for you to help them reach that goal. You can learn more about it on fox54.com. Yeah, so both of us are products of HBCU. I graduated from the illustrious Howard University.
And I graduated from Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Go Jags.
Yes, go Bison. And Mo, what was it like for you being at Southern?
Oh, it was just a phenomenal experience, primarily because, oh, there I go right there. That's one of my experiences being a host for the BET Black College Tour back in the day. And of course, I was a member of the Southern University football team. But overall, my experience was just great. I had heard about my relatives who had went to Southern for many, many years. So you grew up around it. And then, but it's not until you experience it that you're like, okay, this is a place for me. I tell people all the time, I played football, great education, and I met my wife. What about you? What did Howard bring?
Yes, Howard was an opportunity for me to go away. I went to DC. That's me on graduation day. So exciting. I was so happy. My family proud. That was me with some of my younger friends. They were like my babies. I loved it. Loved Howard, the experience to be in the nation's capital. It was a beautiful time. That was me serving for Alternative Spring Break in Detroit. Yeah, awesome. And that was homecoming. Just a wonderful experience. And a reminder before we let you go, Fox 54 is always on with extended interviews, original content, and breaking news. You'll find the Fox 54 Plus app on any Roku, Fire TV device. Thank you so much for watching this special Black History Month edition of Fox 54 News.